So, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. And I would first like to offer my respects, my obeisances to my spiritual master, Siddha Sarupananda Paramahamsa and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami. And we're going to begin with a very easy meditation. As I've said before, I speak from the platform of Bhakti Yoga. And in Bhakti Yoga, the main meditation we do is mantra meditation. So we're going to begin with this very easy meditation. If you've joined us before, you already have participated. If somehow you're here for the first time, I will describe it very quickly. Mantras are transcendental sounds, spiritual sounds that descend from the spiritual world and bring with them great spiritual power. When we contact this transcendental sound, we receive great spiritual benefit. So it's the easiest of all meditations, but at the same time, the most effective. We will use the mantra Gauranga, and we will divide Gauranga into 4 syllables, Go, Ra, Ang, Ga. We begin by breathing in through the nose, slowly, gently, but very deeply, taking the air all the way down to the lower abdomen. And as our body fills with air, very, very gently in the mind, we're going to chant Go, Ra, Ang, Ga in the mind. When the body fills with air, we begin to exhale, and out loud we chant Go, Ra, Ang, Ga. And then we repeat. Inhale Gauranga in the mind, exhale Gauranga out loud. Before we begin, we want to relax, and to help us relax, we're going to take in a big breath and let it back out through the nose. With the outgoing breath, let your anxiety, tension, frustration go away. While we do the meditation, we want to listen closely to the sound and also put the mind on the sound. Meditate on the sound. I want everybody to sit comfortably. And when you learn the mantra, I'll suggest you close your eyes. This helps us to relax more deeply and prevents any distraction. So just meditate on the sound, and when we finish, just sit quietly for a few moments with the eyes remaining closed and feel the effect. All right, just follow my guidance. Everybody take a big breath, let it out, and relax. Now very slowly, gently and deeply inhale and chant Gauranga in the mind. Gauranga. 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 Two more times. Haribol. All right. So you can see this is a very easy meditation to do. And it's also very relaxing. And not only that, but it's amazingly purifying, spiritually speaking. See? So add it to your life. You know, you've done it today, maybe you did it with us last week, etc. But make it your meditation that you do, not only when we appear and we do it and get you to join us. That's fantastic. But you do it. It's your meditation. And you can make a decision. I am going to do this meditation. And then you will get amazing results. Okay, so let us begin with our questions.
Okay, thank you, Balakhilya. So the first...
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
One moment.
Right.
Okay, can you begin again because I couldn't hear you?
Yes, I can begin again. I just said thank you.
Oh, okay. You're welcome.
And I can hear you, so that's fine.
Okay.
All right, so the first question to you is it's a long one, so stay with me.
Turn it up.
8 years ago, I was with a married man for some time. I was one of the many he had cheated with his wife on, and I didn't ruin anything. Their family even expanded. I've been out of their life for several years. My reasons for doing this were loneliness, low self-esteem, attention, not enough love during childhood, fled from war with several close siblings. But I haven't forgiven myself for what I did. I've rationalized it, as in analyzed it objectively. And I do understand why some people with my background do this, but not me. And so now, every good thing I do, I punish myself for it, and have been for 5 to 6 years now. Every time something bad happens, I welcome it. I feel like everyone is out to get me and punish me for my deed, when instead it's me punishing myself and twisting the words of others into hurting words toward myself, if that makes sense. How do I forgive myself? How do I let go of the shame and guilt?
Yes, this is a tragic situation, but not an isolated situation. As you say, many people do this. This is the world we live in, unfortunately. We're so needy. We need love. We need companionship. We need support. We need people to like us. And on the needs go, because those are the natural needs for the soul. This is nothing new. I mean, we do need these things. But unfortunately, because we think we're the material body, we identify ourselves as being of this world. We have no knowledge of our true identity as spirit soul. We have no understanding or information about the supreme soul. We have no information or reality in our life of the spiritual realm. So therefore, we try to fulfill our spiritual needs, which are all the things I just mentioned, from a material source. Love is the key ingredient of life. You cannot live without love. Love is the key ingredient. You can live in one sense because we're eternal spirit souls. We can't not live. We cannot die. But on the other hand, we can't live a happy life. We can't really live a life of fulfillment and inspiration and joy, see? Because I, the spirit soul, cannot find those spiritual needs from a material source. So as I said, love is the elixir of life. It is the necessity of life, see? So we're looking for love in the material world. Love is an exchange between two people, two spirit souls. So we're trying to find love from, if I'm in a woman's body, normally I'm trying to find love from a man and vice versa, love from my parents, love from my brothers or sisters and friends and society in general and whatever. Other living entities, the dogs, the cats, our dear most pets, we like them even sometimes more because it's a lot easier. They are easy to love and they reciprocate very simply. They just want a little bit to eat, some attention, and wow, everything is good. See? But anyway, the point is, I, the spirit soul, need spiritual love. And so all these substitutes cannot work. They can't work. They may seem to work, maybe the whole time I, the eternal soul, exist in this temporary body. Maybe it's 50 years, 60 years, 80 years, 100 years. And I have a relationship that is giving me back some of what I'm looking for. Still, it's temporary at best, and it's not actually ultimately fulfilling. It's better than anything else, but it's not ultimately satisfactory, you see. So you can't find these things that we eternally need, which are eternal needs, from anything in this material world. You have to come to that understanding. So you say you do what you did with this man for some period of time, and you were driven out of the things I mentioned, that you mentioned, loneliness and so on. And you knew it was wrong in your heart of hearts. You know, you can't have a relationship like this with a married person and think it's okay. I mean, many people do and justify it, oh, because of this reason and that reason. But in your heart of hearts, you know this is wrong. You know, if you have any semblance of the understanding of what is correct and what is not correct. See, so you're driven to do things you know you shouldn't do. You know there's probably no real future here. You know, he's already involved in a family and whatever. But you do it anyway. And it doesn't last as yours didn't last, but so long, and then it ends. But you feel guilty about that. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. And so you're beating yourself up, you know, day after day, month after month, year after year. See, and as you say, when good things happen, you don't even want that to happen because I'm not worthy of this good thing happening to me or feeling good or whatever. So you attack that, you know, and when the bad things happen, oh, I'm getting what I deserve. You see, and so this is just, you know, a very destructive frame of mind, if we want to put it like that. How can you overcome this? By coming to the reality of truth. Truth is the only thing that sets you free. In the Holy Bible, it says, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Free from all these difficulties that we have. Free from the material world entirely. Free from the illusions. Free from the angers and the distresses and depressions and all the things that plague us now and later, and even in future lives. You become free from all that by the truth. The truth is what we don't have. We have all kinds of so-called truth and amazing things that we've been taught and discovered. We don't have the ultimate absolute truth. We don't even know who we are. We don't act on that platform. We don't do the things that are necessary for the spirit soul to actually be purified of all the dust, all the illusions, all the karmas, all the different things that have accumulated on our hearts since time immemorable. See, lifetime after lifetime. Accumulate. We need to get free of all of that. So this process of bhakti yoga is actually a process of enlightenment to the truth. We learn the truth. We learn who we are. We're given prescribed activities to perform. We're given clear guidance in what to do, what not to do. This is not good for you. It's not good for others. It's going to keep you in a covered condition. It's going to make you miserable. It's going to keep you from experiencing your eternal birthright of spiritual loving relationship with the Supreme Lord. See, don't do those things. They are your enemy. See, do this. This will purify you. This will cleanse your heart. This will bring knowledge to you of who you really are, who the Supreme Lord is, what your eternal relationship is, what your position is, what your function is, and do those functions. Here's the functions to perform. Do them. Study these teachings. Imbibe it. Take it into your life. Make it your life. You see, this is who I am now. This is what I'm doing now. Instead of this is who I don't want to be, this is who I am, and this is who I want to be. This is the only solution. You can dance around all these stopgap solutions forever. Your eternal spirit soul. You can go from lifetime to lifetime in this material world forever. It's not like a time frame where it all ends. If that's what you decide to do, then you're going to be struggling with the same thing you're struggling with now. See? If you follow the prescribed path given to us by the Supreme Lord, handed down through his perfect representatives, described very clearly in this Vedic teaching, and you follow this, whether you feel like it or not, whether it seems right or not, you got to have faith. This is coming from the absolute authority. This is not some concocted imagination from some man. If you do this, all these other problems will gradually diminish and fade away. You don't beat yourself up eternally from what you did in the past. The future is ahead, not behind. You did it out of ignorance. You did it out of desire. You did it out of, there was lust involved. There was neediness, all those things. Okay, you did it. It's not there's no justification that it was a good thing. It's okay, but it's done. You can't undo what has been done, but you can from now on do what you, the spirit soul, should do with your eternal existence. And that way you will be doing the right thing. And these mistakes, if you will, or these incorrect activities, they will never be seen as it was a good thing to do, but it was what I did under those conditions. And therefore, I am changing to get away from those conditions. I will not be trapped in that same situation again. And gradually, all the things that made me do that, the loneliness, the need for love, as you say, I wasn't loved properly as a child and so on, is replaced with real love. Real fulfillment, real satisfaction. I'm not lonely. I have a relationship, and it's the most wonderful of all relationships, et cetera, et cetera. This is the only solution. You can hear thousands of other solutions, but unless it's this solution, it won't work on the eternal scale, the real scale. And we're eternal. Why try to put a Band-Aid on something? It's not going to really cure the problem. So that's my answer to you, and I'm wishing you all the best in your future journey to real happiness.
All right. I think the next question is related. You talked briefly about it. When we enjoy something material that makes us satisfied, and at the same time have our minds on the next things we think we need to have to be happy, what is personally your best tools to release from this suffering loop of lust?
Yeah, like I mentioned in our last lecture, it's lust, that makes us do all these things. We're driven by lust. And as I just answered this previous question, we're needy. We need these things. So if I think I'm the body and then, I need happiness, which we all do, I will try to fulfill that through my sensual pleasures of life, you know. And of course, it doesn't really work, but we're overpowered by this need and by this lust. And although the reality is revealed again and again, you know, the senses are never satisfied. They always want more. You know, I remember George Harrison in a song said the senses are never gratified. They just swell like the tide. You know, the more you try to satisfy the senses, the more their demands increase, you know. So in his song, the next part of that verse was, since he's never gratified, only swelling like the tide, we got to get out of this material world. We got to go back to the spiritual world, the world of real love, not lust. Lust is all devouring sinful enemy of the world. I talked about that. That's the direct words from Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Person himself. And therefore, as long as I just, you know, am allowing that force, which is our declared enemy, the all-devouring sinful enemy, to control me, and it will, unless I have the only other thing that is stronger, and that's love, true love. That is the only thing that can control lust. If I don't have that in my life, if I don't move toward that, and it's not automatic, and it's not easy, and it's not instant. It takes work, it takes determination, it takes desire. See, really we get what we want. This is the reality. The Lord knows what I want. He's in my heart. He knows what I want. He gives me what I want. If I want this world, if I want all the pleasures of this world and all the, you know, whatever it is that the world has to offer that I think will make me happy, that's what I'm going to get. Of course, accompanying that will be the opposite. You know, the failures, the disappointments, the depressions, and, you know, all the things that are the fruit of lust, see. So I will get what I get according to what I want. That's why we need to hear this philosophy to start trying to rethink what I want. You see, it's just like if you're on a junk food diet, your tongue wants pizza, it wants ice cream, it wants junk food, it wants a lot of sugar stuff, it wants, you know, intoxicating beverages, it wants stimulus from coffee and all the known things that are bad for the health. But that's what the tongue wants. Fatty foods, fried foods, and all those things. But I hear somebody who knows the truth about nutrition start telling me those things are bad. What you really want or what you really need, maybe you don't want it, but what you really need is rich, wholesome, nourishing food. And you start thinking, maybe he's right. So your desire is still for the junk, but now with some knowledge and intelligence, you may start entertaining the idea of changing your diet and minimizing the junk and start increasing the nourishing, wholesome food. It took hearing this for you to even entertain the idea. You see, so hearing this truth is the beginning. That's why in the Bhakti Yoga process, the first of 9 processes is hearing. So I'm trying to make it so you hear these ideas. I'm not telling ever anybody you've got to do anything, but I'm presenting some ideas for you to entertain. And gradually, as you think about them more, maybe you'll be interested in, okay, so what practice can I do? What can I do in connection with this? Okay, the mantra meditation, they're number 1. Absolutely number 1. Add it to your life. Start doing it. You know, if you do it 5 minutes a day, if you do it 5 minutes a week, whatever, you're doing something, you know, and gradually, for some people is much quicker than that. You start, you know, changing your life, you know, consciously making decisions to change your life. I don't want to do that. I still my senses would like to taste this or feel that or engage in this, but I don't want to do that because I already know what the result of that will be. And it's not good for me, the spirit soul. I want to do what's good for me. I'm seeing life differently. I'm seeing myself differently. See, and I gradually move in the direction by the practice, by the acceptance of the philosophy. My desires change. And gradually, the Lord knowing what I want, He gives me more and more opportunity. And slowly, I become a different person. In other words, I become not the false person that I've been playing the role of for, this whole lifetime and previous lifetimes, but now the person who I really am. See. So again, these are ultimate solutions. These are not, just some temporary thing. Just do this and do that and think different and you'll be fine. I'm not the guy who preaches that. Other people do that. I don't do that because I know the answer and I give the answer. If a person wants to accept that, I'm very happy. If they don't, I understand you're not ready for that now, but maybe in the future you will be. Okay.
So the next question we have is about finding the perfect person and the topic of love. The person says, "You talked about the perfect person. I did not follow your conclusion. Does the perfect person exist, or the right person? The reason for my question is that I feel incredibly empty in my relationship, and I wonder if we are just wrong for each other, or if it's all inside of me, that I am the problem. I've always felt that something was missing between us on a spiritual level. He is not in touch with his soul. He has never been. But I have always been since I was very little. How can I deal with this situation?"
Yeah, good question, connected with exactly what we've been talking about. There is a perfect person. Yes. I think I mentioned this in the last lecture. You cannot want what does not exist. If you want a perfect person, that in and of itself indicates there is a perfect person. But we doubt that very, very much because in this world, in our experience, we can't seem to find a perfect person. Maybe we think we do for some period of time, but ultimately it reveals itself. This person's not perfect either. And then we're a little disappointed. Oh, gee, I thought you were perfect and you're not. Of course, on the level we're speaking of like now, there's no perfect person. We all have our defects, you see. But does that mean there is no perfect person? There is a perfect person. Perfect in every way. Everything you can envision which would make a person perfect is already in the supreme person. And much, much more that you couldn't even think about now as something that would make a person perfect because we have no experience of it. But what really makes a person perfect above all other perfections is the perfect loving person. Not only a person that I love, but a person who loves me. And a person who I know will always love me. And a person who loves me for what I am as I am. Not loves me if I'm this way, but doesn't love me if I'm another way. The loving relationships in this world are all too often based on the body, certainly the physical body and also the mental body. See? So if I'm young and pretty and attractive, or handsome and strong and charismatic, et cetera, it's easy for somebody to love me, or it's easy for me to love such a person, you see. But, it's a physical thing. And if that just begins to deteriorate, which it always does over time, old age takes away that beauty of youth every time. See, no matter how much plastic surgery you have, you can see through it. You see, and all the strength and the power and the energy that was coming, from the person, begins to diminish as well, doesn't it? All these things, and then on the psychic level, those things, change too, and they can't make me happy. Maybe all that charisma and all that, personality and everything was a show to catch me, to get me, to win me over, because maybe at that moment I represented to the other person a lot of pleasure. But when they find that there was only so much pleasure available in me or vice versa, then they're not so nice anymore. They're not so charismatic. Their personality is not like it used to be. They're not that happy, jovial, attractive person. Now they're the sullen, angry, short-tempered, never happy person, et cetera, you see. One of our spiritual masters, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's in our disciplic line of masters, 5 spiritual masters back. He made a statement about this idea. When I first saw her, she looked like a whole ocean of pleasure. She represented a whole ocean of pleasure. But after I had rounded her shores a few times, that ocean was reduced to a small puddle. You see, ocean of pleasure. Oh, just a little bit, maybe. You see, that's material world. That's the way it is. That's why in the Bhakti Yoga process, our great, wonderful masters are trying to take us beyond the limitations of this material world, see, and take us to the spiritual realm. A relationship based on a material attraction, a material affection, a material goal, a material bond, and all these things will never be fulfilling. It cannot be. It can't be, you see. And even if I'm in the illusion it is, like I said, it's temporary. And I will get old and die, or I will die of, COVID-19, or they will, or something will separate us. The anxiety is always there. And, when the pleasure's not there, then the anger's there. From lust comes anger. If you were at our lecture last week, it's a natural sequence. Lust, oh, I love you. I can't get enough of you. I want to crawl inside of you. I just want to be one with you. I can't even imagine being without you, you see. But over time, that lust, which really didn't satisfy me, turns to anger. From lust comes anger, and now, the bitterness comes in, and the hatefulness and the desire to hurt the other person, all the cruel things and the tormenting, maybe not only physically, but psychologically, and all these horrible things come from material relationships. If it's a spiritual relationship, it's a spiritual relationship. And that is a whole nother level. It's not based on the body. Old age takes away the beauty. This person's the same. The person you love spiritually is still exactly the same. They did not change. You see, they get old, they get sick. You care for them, you nourish them. You care for them spiritually above all else. You see them as spirit soul. And if it's as it should be, unfortunately, it's almost never like that. You have spiritual knowledge of how to take care of a person spiritually. They have spiritual knowledge how to take care of you spiritually. You should take care of each other spiritually, not only materially, but spiritually. And in that way, you're a team working together for the beauty and the well-being of each other. You see, the ultimate happiness of each other. And so you have a reason to be together, a real reason to be together. We are working as a spiritual team for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is happy with this. He accepts this. He encourages this. He assists in this relationship. He is part of this relationship. You are part of that relationship, is a part of his life. And therefore, it's a wonderful thing, you know. And when one of the other or the other leaves their body, the relationship continues on. It doesn't end. It's not based on a temporary situation. It's an eternal situation. And along the way, hopefully, you know, if it's going to be really successful, you must find a spiritual master who teaches you all these things. Not only teaches you one time, but keeps reinforcing it and reminding you. Like a teacher always corrects the student. You know, we go off, he corrects you. You know, he gives you more and more and more information and encouragement and enthusiasm. He's your inspiration. You know, he brings that relationship with the Supreme Lord to you. He helps you, nourishes it, nourishes it. He is your dearmost friend. This is, again, the only solution. I can't stress enough. Until you get out of this realm of finding perfect people, perfect situations, perfect happiness, perfect, you know, pleasure, perfect fulfillment, no loneliness, until you get away from trying to find that in the material world and actually, you know, transfer that search and that desire to the spiritual world, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to go anywhere. You're going to be right here, this lifetime, next lifetime, same issues, different bodies, different circumstances, same issues, again and again and again, you know. So that's why we're, you know, so fortunate to have this bhakti yoga process and our perfect spiritual masters to guide us, to enlighten us, to support us. Okay.
Okay. So we have a couple of questions as well regarding the current world situation. So the first question is, how to survive Corona. I'm in Moscow and it's gross here, but that is exactly what you were talking about the last 2 times. My son died just 5 months ago, and the grief is adding up to Corona fear. So spirit, soul, all that stuff is a relief to consider, yet I have my doubts how to get rid of them.
Again, very good question. Yes, we have doubts about something until we know it to be true, don't we? You know, there's always doubt. Is this really true? So doubts are a given until we know the truth. See, in the Bhagavad Gita, which is our main scripture that we study in our bhakti yoga process, it's a conversation between the Supreme Lord Krishna and his great friend and disciple Arjuna. Arjuna was filled with doubts about the situation he was in. And he asked Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Krishna was acting as his spiritual master, superior, spiritual guide. He asked Krishna, please dispel my doubts with this knowledge. He said, these doubts are like enemies, you know. Please dispel my doubts. So that is the only way to get rid of doubts is with knowledge. You gain this knowledge, and Krishna will give you from within the understanding. This is true. See, when you know your spirit soul, not just philosophically, but you know it, it's a realized truth to you. You don't doubt who you are. See, I can tell you all day your spirit soul, but until you, and maybe more and more, you begin to accept it. Okay, yes, that's true. And that is, in a way, knowing. You see, but at some point, you're going to come to know, whether it's through the philosophical acceptance whether it's Krishna in your heart revealing it, whether it's increased trust in the scriptures, which tell you this, all of this will remove the doubt. And again, the more we chant the mantras and the more these mantras purify us, the more the knowing replaces the doubts. It's just automatic how this works, you see. Health replaces disease. So, COVID-19 in Russia, I can imagine. Moscow, not good. So many cases, so many deaths, so much difficulty, lockdowns, all the things, And I read the news of what's going on in Moscow every day. I understand the situation. I'm not there, but I'm in another place where there's COVID and lockdown and everything else too. But you have to understand what will be, materially speaking. You do the best you can. You are careful as far as the COVID-19 is concerned. You're careful not to expose yourself to this virus. So you take all the necessary precautions that you can. I mean, you can only do what you can do. You try your best, understanding there's karma involved in all this. My past activities, may make it so this lifetime I will get this COVID-19 and maybe die from it. I'll do everything I can, but ultimately it's all up to God. It's not me. I don't control things. This is coming to the world right now, and it's doing what it's doing. Some people don't get it at all. Some people get it, and it's a very light case. Some people get it, and it's very difficult, but they survive. Some people don't survive, and so on. So many scenarios, so many karmas involved, so many different physical conditions that, make it so it has a greater or lesser effect. So many variations of circumstances. But you, in your individual situation, physically, mentally, spiritually, you do the best you can. Mhm. Listen to these truths. As I said in a lecture last night, I know many people, hundreds of people in the world today in different countries, could be Kazakhstan or Norway or Poland or Russia or Ukraine or England or Scotland or on and on, Canada. I know people all over America, many, many places, see. But I don't know anybody that is struggling with this isolation, this quarantine, this lockdown. Oh, I'm going to commit suicide. I'm going crazy. I am turning to alcohol abuse. I'm turning to drug abuse. I'm becoming violent. I don't know anybody dealing with those issues. In fact, every day almost I get, a message to the fact, wow, I hope this quarantine lasts a long time. This is great. I get to hear these, lectures and engage in these chantings online. And, I'm just right here every day. It's become the part of the day that I make the rest of my day around. This is wonderful. I'm feeling better than before. And so, hey, their experience of the effects of COVID is very different than the people who are angry and rebelling and threatening to kill people or are killing people and, going on and on and on. So you do the best you can with what situation you have, but take more and more to spiritual life. I'm sorry to hear about your son leaving his body, but remember that he left his body. He did not die. Your son did not die 5 months ago. He left his body. He is still the same person he was when he was in the position of being your son and you were in the position of being his mother. The motherly affection was there, absolutely so. It's been built in. It's designed like that. The mother always has a feeling of motherhood to the child. It's very deep. There's no pain like the loss of a loved one. But when we know that your son didn't die, he just has now left that body and now he's somewhere else, and he's, probably, I don't know where he is, but he's probably in a place where there's no COVID. He might be in a place that's, completely different, or maybe he's on his way to another place that's better than where he was here. I don't know, and you don't know. But the point is, he is still the same person he was. So you can relax on that. He didn't die. You say, you're not going to die. And the more you develop this spiritual, not only knowledge, but attitude and conviction, the more the struggles of life, and there will always be struggles of life, will be easier and easier to deal with. And they almost don't become struggles. They just become events, because you have inner strength, inner peace, inner connection with the Supreme Lord. You take shelter in the mantras, chanting his holy names. You have somewhere to go and take shelter other than sheltering in place. And maybe you have some little apartment in not very comfortable situation or whatever. See, shelter in place means really take shelter in your heart of the Lord and his holy names. That's sheltering in place on the transcendental level. See, so we should always shelter in place. Okay.
Okay. Do you have time for one more question, Balakhilya?
We do.
All right. So this is us related to Corona again, and other situations, I presume. Why is God sending plagues and viruses? Why is there so much suffering? Where is he?
Well, this is how many people have been taught to believe that God sends the virus, or God sends the hurricane, or God sends, the diseases and the whatever, the things we don't want. He sends them to punish us. It is not like that. He loves all of us. He loves all of his children. We're all his children. He loves us eternally. We have chosen to come into the material world. Out of envy for God, we have chosen, I don't want to be in the spiritual world. I don't want to be the servant of God. I want to be the enjoyer, the master of the Lord, etc., etc. And so God has created the material world for us to have a place to come and try to be the Lord. But with that creation also comes the understanding, graphically, that this world is not the place I belong in. This is not really a place where I can be happy. There is built-in suffering. It is called the ocean of material suffering, the ocean of misery. The material world is described like that in the Vedic scriptures. This is the ocean of misery. And so I've just, on all these other questions, made it very clear. You can't be happy in this world. See, you can be happy in this world if you have that loving relationship with the Supreme Lord while you're still situated geographically in the material world, in a material body. But spiritually speaking, you're in the spiritual world in your loving relationship with the Supreme Lord. In that understanding, you can be happy in this world, but you can't be happy from a material source. So when the material world is created, the Lord gives mankind the information of how to live in this world correctly, all in the following of and application of the guidance of the scriptures that God gives us. Okay, live like this. This is how you should act. These are the things you should do. This is who you are, and this is who you should take care of in this way and that way, your position in society, all these things. That is given in the Vedic scriptures, the guideline, the guidebook for mankind, how to live in the material world in the way that will make it so I can still enjoy material pleasures, but they don't usurp or take away my understanding of who I am, who God is, and my relationship. I do all the things I'm doing in this world, which will give me pleasure, as service to God, as an offering to God. I understand there's certain personalities, if I'm not, on the highest level of understanding, that I should do everything for the pleasure of, as an offering to the Supreme Lord. But I'm on a lower level of understanding, where I understand there's certain personalities in the universe that are in charge of different aspects of the universe. And therefore, I need, and this is all information is given in the Vedic scriptures, I need to please them. I need to worship them in this way, in this way, in this way. And therefore, because they're pleased with me, they bestow upon me benedictions, an abundance of food, an abundance of health, and the planet Earth and whatever planets, but let's talk about planet Earth, is bountiful, and all the things I need for a very, very comfortable, successful material existence, including relationships with other people, is provided. I have knowledge of how to conduct my life in connection with this world, connection with other people, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these calamities, which we experience now, like you say, the viruses and the diseases and the sufferings and so on, are not sent by God. They're sent by my incorrect conduct. They are the fruit of a godless civilization. They are the fruit of karma. See, the law of karma, you cannot make it go away. As you sow, so shall you reap. We have sowed all the things we're reaping now. So all the calamities that we may experience in our life. So right now, the COVID story and, the miseries and the sufferings and take it wherever you want, the earthquakes and the floods and the wars and the hates and the injustices, wherever you want to take it, it's all a result of our activity. God did not do this. We did it. We created this situation. Is the government to blame for the very uncomfortable and less than ideal life in a prison house? Is the government to blame because I committed the crime? Who created the prison house? Did the government create the prison house, or did the activities of the criminals make it so the government made a prison where they can be kept and not destroy the rest of society? Who's to blame here, the government or the prisoners, for the suffering in prison? If you didn't do the crime, you wouldn't be in the prison. If we didn't do what we've done, we wouldn't be in the material world. But even in the material world, we come here, and like I say, God gives us the guidance, the information, the instructions on how to live here to have a nice material life. See, so the leaders of the world can be saintly leaders, saintly kings. Read the Vedic history. It's amazing. The wonder of the material world was amazing under the guidance of the saintly kings who were guided by the Brahmins, who were this priestly class, who were not on some agenda. They wanted the best for mankind. The kings saw the citizens as not only the citizens to tax and to use. No, he didn't see them like that at all. The citizens to take care of. They were like his children. He was like the father to them. And they all saw him in that light. And they treated him like the father. See, and it was a very, very suitable thing. And the pious activities, the activities of following this Vedic teaching was implemented in society via the government, via the will of the people. The guidance was there. The enthusiasm was there. The understanding of why it's good to do this was there. And people made spiritual progress and ultimately came to understand their eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, and they had a successful life. And either they went back to the spiritual world or they took a very high birth, spiritually speaking, in their next life and continued on their spiritual journey. See, these things are not caused by God. He didn't do it. We are doing it, and it's going to increase the more godless our society becomes, the more atheistic we are, the more we try to throw away all sense of guidance of right and wrong and virtuous activity, you see, and simply indulge under the complete control of lust. We indulge our passions and our desires and our senses unrestrictedly. The more it's all going to increase, the more the misery and, the plagues and the viruses and the hell is going to increase. It's just the result of us. Don't blame God. Right there today, he's saying, don't do these things. Listen to me. I'm speaking his message to you. See, if you want to follow it, you do. If you don't, you don't. And it's going to go either way, and the result will be what it is accordingly. See, that's just how the world is. We can't have a hedonistic, atheistic lifestyle completely devoid of any sense of right and wrong and whatever. See, our rules, my life, my rules kind of philosophy, and expect to get the fruits of pious activity, following and loving the Lord and serving him with our life. You can't expect to have it. It does not work that way. So I hope that kind of shed some light on this idea. Okay.
Thank you very much, Balakhilya. I think we are out of questions here, and I think you are out of time.
Yeah, I got time for a kirtan, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I always will, if possible, in my programs with a Sankirtan. Sankirtan is congregational chanting, and as I've done in my previous lectures, we're going to use, very simple mantra, Gauranga, which we already did, and additional mantra will be Hari Bol. So it may be just Gauranga, it might be just Hari Bol, it might be Hari Bol Gauranga, it might be Gauranga Hari Bol. See, all you need to do as a participant of our Sankirtan is listen to what I chant, and then you chant. I chant, you listen, you chant, I listen. Chant at home. See, you're home, but don't be afraid to chant. If somebody's in the house, so you don't want to hear you chanting, chant very softly. See, chant with your heart. See, this is where it's at. A loud voice and an empty heart is not the same. See, try to chant with your heart, because that's where we are and that's where the Lord is. See, so let the Sankirtan dance in your heart. Okay. Gauranga. Gauranga. Hare Bo. Hare Bo. Hare Bo. Hare Bo. Gauranga Hari 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 Bo. Hari Bo Gauranga. Hey. Hari Bo Gauranga. Hari Bo Gauranga. Hare Bo Gauranga. Hare Bo Gauranga. Hari Bo Gauranga. Hare Bo Gauranga. Hare Bo Gauranga. Gauranga Hari Bo. 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 Hare Bo. Hare Bo. Hare Bo. Hari Bol.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Balakhilya.
Oh,
Very
thank you
nice.
very much. Thank you, Ruben. And I think all the people helped you in this whole story. You know, we're not alone. We all help each other.
Right.
Everybody does their part. It's all equal. On the spiritual platform, everything is equal. So some person might think, oh, well, he gives a lecture, so he's the special one. Or Ruben is asking the questions and he arranged it, so he's the special one. We're all equal. This is this material concept. The guy in the front, the guy on the big seat, the guy, that's getting all the fame and whatever, he's the big one. That's material stuff. And so everybody wants to be that guy. Everybody's jealous. Everybody's envious. Oh, well, he gets to speak and I don't. He gets to ask the question. I don't. I'm just a little guy back here that just, did all this work and nobody knows about me. Krishna knows about everybody. So understand that spiritual world is the opposite of the material world. It is not the same. We must get away from this limitation of material knowledge and enter into the unlimited world of transcendental truth. Then and only then will we have a real life. So again, Ruben and all of the rest of you, thank you very much. And we thank all of you for joining. Thank you for your questions. Very good questions. It's wonderful. Questions give an insight into what you're thinking, and they make it possible to answer in a way that it just may not come out the same if the question wasn't asked. So the information that may appear from the question may not have appeared otherwise. So it's a benefit for everybody involved. So in spiritual life, it's all about thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's a good thing. Okay. So I think we'll be back next week, right?
Yeah, next chance to meet Balakhilya will be on Saturday, where Balakhilya will be speaking on the lost art of happiness.
Oh, okay. Good to know that. Yeah. All right. So I'll see you in Norway or England or Canada or wherever you are next week.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Balakhilya.
Namaste, Haribol. All the best to everybody.